Have you ever wondered why Muslim leaders living in the West so openly and brazenly say that they're going to conquer the West like this?
So know this, that Islam will enter every house. Every house. Don't worry about the Islamophobes. They can yap all they want. Their children will be Muslim.
You know why they do this? Do you have any idea? I have a theory. I'll run that by you and see if you agree. Or why they say things like these so openly that you would think maybe you need to be a bit discreet about this, because yes, you are rallying your own troops, but you are also rallying and motivating the natives of the land that you're trying to take over.
How do we get there? Like in the sense of, if you look at three different things very quickly, if you look at, for example, Mamdani is a case study in your lectures about him or and his father, or something like, oh, don't sit with the innovators, or that type of thing. How do you get past, and how do you practically apply what you just said to overcome that?
So what is the alternative? Show me the alternative. Ideal, in the time of the seerah of the Prophet multiple times, the Prophet gave up doing what was ideal because what might have been ideal from a theoretical perspective actually resulted in harms that outweighed a theoretical ideal. It requires understanding the long-term goal and seeing how you can best get there.
A lot of young Muslims are getting way more politically, whether that be at a student union level, that could be in political level, all these Muslims running for office in various places. What advice do you have for Muslims in that space?
You should genuinely want to benefit the ummah for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
This is a very profound statement. Out in the open, there's no deception in that. It's out in the open and it's 100% natural way of things, which is in Western societies, whether that's Britain or America, all of our Western societies have imported a foreign culture that, through no fault of its own, is finding the most optimum way for its survival. And when you have your goal in mind, and this is why you Westerners don't understand how Islam works. Every Muslim, from a foot soldier who doesn't know much about Islam to the very top scholar like Yasir Qadhi, they believe in their hearts that their religion is true. It's not up for debate. It's not up for conversation. Islam doesn't have this tradition of debating. Christianity, I guess no culture wants to be challenged. No ideology wants to be challenged, and it discourages debate. But the West was somewhat different. The West, or Westerners, there was something special about them, that they wanted to challenge the status quo. They wanted to challenge Christianity, or whatever is the governing rule of the time is. They wanted to challenge it, and they challenged it, and something very unique happened in Renaissance Europe that came right after the Dark Ages, or that ended the Dark Ages. A lot of people don't like to call it the Dark Ages now, but whatever, without going into the semantics. Something happened, and look at the flourishing of ideas that came out of it, albeit at the cost of Christianity or traditional Christianity of the time. Christianity still survived, so, all you Christians can actually be proud of that. It still survived all the onslaught or challenges of David Hume and Kant and everything that came, Voltaire, all of that. It survived that, and it gave us the most advanced, prosperous civilization in the history of humanity. Look, the Romans also had peace for nearly 1,000 years, and it's a very potent question. That why did the Romans not invent the steam engine? They actually, because there were cultural problems in that. Romans focused more on philosophy, and they looked down on masons, on technicians, on carpenters, the people who did work through their hands. Whereas in the Enlightenment era, it was the union of ideas, where a theoretical physicist would actually go and talk to the blacksmith, and they will work together. That's actually they worked out the correct functioning model of a steam engine. It's very interesting. So it happened fairly quickly in medieval Europe, where they went into the Enlightenment and the scientific revolution, and Newton and all these people started showing up, and then suddenly they went into its practical side of things. So the West is unique, what I'm trying to say. It created a culture of debate. Islam never had that. Islam also did some amazing things, but it did not have the culture of debating, which is why it is discouraged. I am telling you, as an ex-Muslim, It is not encouraged to even question your faith for a moment. Some people might say, yeah, it's in Christianity. No, nothing like Islam. It's nothing like Islam. So when these Yasir Qadis and Muslims and ordinary Muslims, lipstick Muslims, scholar Muslim, jihadi Muslim, when they all come to the West, they all are very dogmatic. This is why it makes sense what Yasir Qadi just said. Whether you are a Western clothes wearing Mamdani who can appeal to the lefty, global lefties, LGBTQ people and everyone, or you are a traditional looking Muslim, you should always be, or an actor or a musician or whatever, you should always be loyal to the Muslim community, which by extension, it means the Islamic cause. And as I said at the start of the video, the West imported this foreign culture, which is finding the most optimum way of its survival, which is to take over and conquer. And this is why you see these statements out in the open, because these people are just telling the truth. They're telling you what they believe in, because they have to rally their troops as well. In order for their ideology to take over, to take control, imply Sharia, make the Islamic States of America or something, which is their goal. And it is perfectly fine. If I put my Muslim hat on, it is perfectly fine for a Muslim to dream that America will one day be Islamic or Muslim, and the whole of Europe will fall to Islam, or they wouldn't see it as fall. They would see it as enlightened by Islamic, enlightened by Islam. That's how they would see it. And in order to get there, this is what they need to do. They plant Mamdani, be loyal to Muslim cause, because Muslims do work that way. Western society is very different. Western society is very individualistic. If an individual person sees something wrong in his society, he will question it, he will discard it, and he might become woke. That's the reason behind woke BS. Like, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense. Why should we drop bombs on Gaza? Well, they don't understand the bigger picture. If we don't drop bombs on them, they will drop bombs on Israel. And then when Israel's gone, Europe will fall. So they don't look at that, but they look at these things, which is a good thing. I would say it's a good thing to question your position all the time and question your society's decisions. But at the end of the day, you're missing the bigger picture. Each and every entity that exists is finding the most optimum way of its survival or its evolution. Whether you're an individual or groups of people or a country or a society or an ideology or a business, everything is finding the most optimum way for its survival. This is why they say these things. This guy he's simply doing what he's programmed to do, which is to spread Islam and make sure Islam governs the whole world. It's the crux of their faith.
Ask the Messenger of Allah sallallahu what type of Islam is the best? I want to know how I can be the best. This is the type of attitude we want to develop within ourselves. We want to cultivate this attitude. How can I aim even higher? The Prophet ﷺ is asked, which are the best of deeds? Jihadun fi sabilillah. Then you have to go fight as a warrior in the path of Allah. Qala al-jihad fi sabilillah. That you have to fight and give your life and fight for Allah's sake. So this,
you know why he said that? Because Muhammad understood that. Muhammad was an expansionist. You know what he's saying? He's saying that jihad is the best form of practicing Islam. If you want to be the best Muslim, go do jihad. Muhammad understood that in order to expand your ideology, you have to go and fight. Look, don't get me wrong. Westerners understood that too. And Westerners understand that too. Still, to this day, they understand that. But a lot of them are still too individualistic. A lot of them haven't zoomed out and looked at it from the perspective of it's another civilization that has been kept at bay for 1400 years. Sometimes it made some serious inroads. For example, Spain, the fall of Spain turning into Al-Andalusia. And then there used to be Arab raids on Italy too. I didn't know that. I found out a few years ago, but that was news to me when I first heard that. They were kept at bay for a very long time, but then something happened in the collective Western psyche, albeit it was the trauma of World War II. They said, people who our ancestors forcefully kept out, we can let them in, and everything will be fine. Well, unfortunately, those people who made those decisions in the 50s and the 60s are not here to say, oops, we made a boo-boo. That's not what we were thinking. But we are just bearing the fruits of their labor today. That's it. That's how simple it is. Because civilization, societies, they take 2 or 3 human lifetimes to take shape. It takes them longer, I'd say. And I would say it has happened at a rapid pace. The pace is so rapid that every Westerner should be alarmed by this. And this is the reason why Geert Wilders is trying to warn America, because he understands the nature of Islam, and you should too.
Look at New York City, where the newly elected mayor. Look at New York City, where the newly elected mayor, Zohran Mamdani, took his oath on the Quran, the book of hate. They want to erase your history so they can replace it with theirs. They want to take down your statues, rename your streets, and put up their crescents. They want you to be a stranger in your own land of birth. They want you to apologize for being American. The seven lights, unfortunately, almost have all gone out in Europe. And I'm sure you don't want it to happen in America too. But do not think that you are safe. You already had 9/11. The United States today are the next on the menu of the crocodile. Islam has already arrived on your shores, from the Atlantic to the Pacific. The lights of freedom, safety, identity, prosperity, integrity, and justice are under attack here too. Look at Minnesota, where Somalis are taken over and have elected Ilhan Omar to the US Congress. She sneers at the country that gave her refuge and a passport and brags about advancing a Somalia interest in Congress. Look at Dearborn, Michigan, the first Islamic majority city in the US, where Mayor Abdullah Hammoud told a non-Islamic citizen of a city who objected to naming a street in honor of a jihadist, he said to him, "You are an Islamophobe. Move out of here." Look at New York City, where the newly elected mayor, Zohran Mamdani, took his oath on the Quran, the book of hate. He refuses even to condemn the jihadist phrase globalize the intifada and wants to take down the statue of Christopher Columbus. My friends, they want to erase your history so they can replace it with theirs. They want to take down your statues, rename your streets, and put up their crescents. They want you to be a stranger in your own land of birth. They want you to apologize for being American. And I ask you, are you going to do that? Look at New York.
And this is it. This has been the crux of my activism. I'm saying exactly the same thing. Are you going to wake up or not? Look at this. They're saying that openly, what I just told you.
We reached the peak in the year 998 of Hijrah. At that time, the Ottoman
998 Hijrah is something like 1700 something.
Ottomans were leading the world, and they were the major force in the whole world. But they did something wrong, very wrong. They tried for many years to conquer Europe through wars, only wars. While Islam was spreading in the subcontinent, in Indonesia, and so on, not by wars. In the northern part of the subcontinent, there were wars, but in the south and Indonesia, Malaysia, so there were no Islamic wars, and Islam spread there. And
that's actually a very good point he made. Yeah, Indonesia and Malaysia were not actually conquered. It's a little bit more complex and nuanced than that, but the overall point remains the same. You don't have to send your armies in order to conquer a civilization or a country. That's exactly what's happening to Europe and America. Don't send the armies because they will get butchered by Patriot missiles and, F-35s and all that. So why don't we send people in there? And that's when we try to do it. That's it. That's what they're telling you. They understand that. It's not that this person is calling the shots or the other Yasir Qadi that I played you, he's calling the shot. That's exactly how Islam, as a moving object in the universe that we occupy, it is finding the most optimum way of its survival. That's it. That's all there is to it.
We have the largest Muslim country, Indonesia, there. While 700 years of our trial to conquer Europe by force failed, did not work. So it was very clear to me that yes, we were in the peak, but in the wrong peak.
Wow.
We are in the peak of power. of military. This is the name of the book, a strategic plan to revive the Ummah. So we should not just work and hope for the revival. Let's plan it. And because that's one of my specialties, strategic planning.
Strategic planning, guys. They're planning, and guess the useful idiots who are helping them out. This woman. She is giving a middle finger to this MP, British MP, who's turned up in Calais, and these white liberal women are basically sending these migrants the UK way. Let's have a listen.
So you can see these NGO workers here who have been helping the illegal immigrants during their journey, now very happy apparently. Guys, est-ce que vous parlez anglais? Est-ce que vous parlez anglais? No. It's a public place. It's a public place. C'est un lieu public.
Stupid women have no idea what the Muslims are planning for them. Either sex slavery or she'll be the fourth wife.
No, you're facilitating illegal immigration, madam. Beware, this is a criminal offence. It's a criminal offence.
See how stupid that is? This is the face of Western stupidity. And look, it is happening because, you know, we have allowed weak, dumb, feeble-minded people to take control. As I said, when you zoom out everything, individualism does not matter. It just doesn't matter, unfortunately. It does matter in stable societies, and the West showed it to the world that, you know, from the rags to riches stories, so many of them. You can be anyone. You could be Barack Obama. I know a lot of you don't like you, but okay, let's go with Abe Lincoln. Some people might not actually like him either. I was watching his Netflix documentary. I always wanted to study him more deeply. It's a very good Netflix documentary. And he self-taught himself, which might have been a bit more common back in those days, but still quite fascinating. The guy did not know how to read and write until he was 13 years old or something. And then his stepmother taught him how to read and write. She gave him books, and wow, look what happened. So you could be born in on the frontier town of the 19th century America, and he foraged for food because his father left him and his sister in search of a new wife after his first wife died. So, you know, look what came. So that's fine. And a truly American dream could be realized under those principles of individualism. You were building a huge, powerful society, country that was going to conquer the world in a way, not in the old sense, but conquer the world through innovation, through the strength of his economic model, its morality, entertainment, everything. You guys have a lot to be proud of. I know a lot of those moving parts are in decay at the moment. For example, Hollywood, for example, our economic model is not working, all of those things, but still. But what I'm trying to say now is that you need to go above that and go back to the drawing board and zoom out and look at everything from a civilizational perspective, from a social perspective, which is why Marco Rubio's speech was so freaking important that went over the heads of these loony lefties. Where he said, yes, you've been, when there was no external threat, you were competing with each other. That's fine. But now you have a united enemy that is completely antithetical to you, and it has established strong mini enclaves within you. Europe is gone. America is going that way. And you have to, your natural alliance is with Europe, and Europe's natural alliance is with America. Throw in Australia and New Zealand too, but all of us are suffering from one major internal disease, let's give it a good analogy. So our body, my body, I am the West. Let's just put me as, my body's sick and it's got some invasive disease and is eating me from the inside. My immune system is wanting to fight, but some elements of my immune system are refusing to fight. And that's basically what happens when your immune system is down. The good cells are not fighting. The good fight. So sometimes we need an external medication, or sometimes we need to boost our immune system. And we need to boost our immune system. We need to know who we are. By I mean the West, Western civilization, Western values. And you need to hold firm. You have to put some away. For example, free speech should not be given to those who want to dismantle. These guys are saying they want to wage jihad on you. Like, oh yeah, you want to wage jihad on us for what? To overthrow our government, our way of life? Oh, I see. We're going to need to come up with new solutions. America has never faced a challenge like this. I was saying this earlier, that go back to the 70s and the 60s. There were only two social focal points. There were two focal points when it comes to discussing American society: white America, black America. That's it. Maybe you could occasionally talk about those Mexicans coming through the southern border, but that's about it. Now you've got black America exploding. You've got white America exploding. White America believes that they are victims, and I think they have lost a lot of ground. So yes, and then you've got the Latin Americans, and you've got the Muslims coming in. You've got the African Americans coming in, and all of that. There's so many moving parts now in your American society, which is why there's no social cohesion. So zoom out, become Americans again, and tell them who's the boss. And it's the same for every single Western society. And we need to collectively join forces. People don't like Trump for various reasons, but Trump gets this. Look at this. This is what Trump said. Sorry, I'm rambling on, but this is important. I just saw Trump's video, and it's important to play this. Look at this. Trump understands what's going on, despite the fact a lot of people say he's not very smart or blah, blah, blah. To understand macro issues, you actually don't have to be an expert or you have PhD. As I said, Trump can zoom out and he's looking at it. Okay, all these Muslims, all these antithetical people are pouring into the West. Surely it's not going to work out because it's never worked out in the past before. He doesn't need to understand the demographics and the mini subtleties and what ECHR, how important it is to stick to the ECHR, how important. He doesn't need to understand that, because when you zoom out, all those little things, those little moving parts become irrelevant because you're looking at the biggest moving part.
Did you discuss it with him?
I did, briefly.
Here the reporter, GB News reporter, is asking him, have you spoken to the new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham? And he said, yes, I did.
He's going to have to mention it because it's killing your country.
Mr. President,
Killing you.
he won't talk to GB News.
He's killing your country.
He won't talk to him.
And not him. I mean, we'll have to see. I know Starmer did very little about it. And they're coming from all over the world. They're coming from Africa. They're coming from South America. They're coming from different parts of Asia. And they're invading Europe. I mean, they're invading Europe. It's an invasion. And the UK is a prime suspect.
You get it. He gets it. It's too simplistic. It's actually too stupid to shut it down by saying, oh, he's racist. It's a civilizational issue. It's the survival of European civilization that's at stake here. So, yeah.